Now, speaking of pushing envelopes and things, let's get into this tea about Adam Lambert, who I had no idea he was doing a documentary about, speaking of past music and things, about gay artists who have shaped him in his career and what he is today. First of all, shout out to him in this EP cover. I am living for this EP cover. And I have to say, Friday, you cannot get here fast enough. One, that's when I get paid. And number two, I'm excited to listen to this new EP because I have loved me some Adam Lambert ever since American Idol. That is like someone who I would not mind if I ever encounter him in the club. Shout out to my friend David Laugh, who was in the comments earlier. He's partied with Adam many a time, said he's cool. I would love to kind of hang out, not kind of. I would love to go and meet up with just come across Adam in the club and we up in the VIP just a drinking and kikiing like two sisters that just, coming together and kikiing. So there's a new ITV documentary called Adam Lambert Out Loud and Proud that will explore how British LGBTQ plus musicians have fought for space in the industry. Now, in the documentary airing on ITV1 tonight, that is the June of 19th, the June of the 19th, the 19th of June, so that is today. As part of Pride Month, the U.S. star will chat with his friends and Queen bandmates Brian May and Roger Taylor about how LGBTQ plus acts and stars, including Freddie Mercury, paved the way for the queer representation in music. Mercury, who was recently crowned the UK's #1 queer icon of all time, died from an AIDS-related illness in 1991 at the age of 45. Now, in 2011, American Idol runner-up Lambert joined the remaining members of Queen for a performance at the MTV Europe Music Awards before officially becoming the band's lead singer. He will also chat with MNEK and Erasure's Andy Bell about Britain's LGBTQ plus music history in the documentary. Now, in addition, he'll spend time with pole star Michaela J. Rodriguez, who I actually heard a snippet of her new song. It sounds pretty good. So shout out to her. I need to listen to that track in full, by the way, who made history in 2021 by becoming the first trans actress to bag an Emmy, looking at whether progress for LGBTQ plus people is slowing down and how the anti-gay narratives that targeted the community in decades gone are now being levied against trans people. Because, now that it's like the gays, we went through our whole situation of being picked on and ridiculed and all this other stuff. Now they're going after the trans. I told you it's like they go through every acronym of the queer spectrum. Now the trans people are going through what we went through. And you would think that since we went through it, we would kind of rally behind our trans brothers and sisters. But, some of us homosexuals, we could be a selfish lot. And if we could take, like, similar when it comes to black folks, where they try to shed their light on gays because they think if we go after the LGBTQ plus community, we can, it takes the spotlight off of us. I feel like the gays do it to the trans as well. Where it's like, oh, it takes the spotlight off of us, so that let them have to deal with what we went through. So he said, they also said that speaking to ITV ahead of the documentary release, the high drama singer compared his coming out gay experience in 2009 to that of fellow gay reality TV star Will Young. Now, for those of you who don't know who Will Young was someone who was on a show called Pop Idol, which is the UK version of American Idol. And I think he was like the Kelly Clarkson of his season. He won season 1 and he was gay. And it says, being an artist from a TV competition show, then coming out, I was the first to do it on American Idol. But the UK had Will Young maybe 10 years before, so we're offset to like a decade. And he also, I saw in an interview that he did, was that, and I've always said this about the Brits, and shout out to y'all, this is why I live for the Brits and what they do in regards of like how they look at pop music, way 10 light years ahead of what we do over in the United States. We're always a little slow when it comes to progress in anything or being progressive, which is why they don't want a progressive politician because, these regular people just can't take it. I feel like it's the same with music. The UK has always been light years ahead of us when it comes to pushing the boundaries of music and also LGBTQ plus representation. Because, before Adam Lambert was the first to come out and really be his true, authentic self without having to be outed or whatever the case was, they had Will Young. And it seemed like, I believe they were more open-minded when it came to that sort of thing. And me growing up as a kid, there was many British artists that I lived for when I was a kid. I loved Boy George. I was obsessed with Boy George as a kid. My cousin too, but then they used to make fun of him for it. But I'm like, you like what you like. But then, of course, you get heterosexuals that like to put their homophobia on you and make fun of you for liking somebody that's different. And before I even knew what drag queens or gays were, I was obsessed with Boy George. I used to also love oh my god, what's his name? From Bronski Beat. Jimmy Somerville was a fan of his. I love me some Mark Almond. I also love me some from Soft Cell. I also love me who else? Andy Bell, obsessed. Love me some Erasure. Anytime Erasure puts out music, I'm there. I love me some Andy Bell because Andy Bell was flamboyant. Of course, they did that whole synthy electro pop type sound. And I live for that, which is what you get a lot of the influence from when you listen to people like Ali Alexander. He's deeply influenced by, Pet Shop. Oh, yeah, that's another one, Pet Shop Boys. So you get where he's deeply influenced by Pet Shop Boys and he's influenced by Andy Bell. They were the pioneers. And it's sad that today in American music, we don't have a lot of those. Like, I really can't think off the top of my head many openly queer artists in America who have really shaped and changed the game of the music industry because it was frowned upon. So that's why I've always gravitated more towards British pop than American pop. So he said, it's fun for me to look at this through the UK lens. Now, when I think about iconic queer musicians, the first ones that came to mind are almost all UK artists. Elton, Freddie, Bowie, Boy George. Those are my touchstones, and that felt like a really exciting place to dig into. This is a look back at 40 to 50 years of pop culture, particularly the musicians who have trailblazed. It's a closer look at a journey, and if you're a member of the LGBTQ plus community, it is a lovely way to be proud of that and of all that we are and where we've come from. It's fascinating, inspiring, and I think helpful. Adam experienced intense homophobia, at the start of his career, and has previously claimed that he was threatened with a lawsuit for kissing a male member of his band on stage at the 2009 American Music Awards, which he actually talked about. If y'all have not seen So Gorge with Violet Chachki and Got Mick, he talks about that. Hold on, let me pull up a picture of his boyfriend, Oliver Glees, who's, I love the androgyny of it all. Adam Lambert definitely has a type. So it says, they've got to, he's been with his boyfriend for like 3 years. So, they're real serious and they living together. And so Alva Glees works as an innovation forum assistant for Global Fashion Agenda. He's from Denmark and he's the partnerships manager for Global Fashion Agenda team. He probably helps with Adam's fashions too. And in August 2023, Lambert shared an Instagram story defending his boyfriend from homophobic attacks on social media. These attacks followed the release of paparazzi photos of the couple enjoying a night out in West Hollywood, circulated online. Now, if y'all are going to see it, my British people, the documentary Adam Lambert Out Loud and Proud is going to air on ITV1 at 9 p.m. on Wednesday, the 19th of June. I have no idea what time it is over in the UK, but what I'm really hoping is that they're going to air it sometime here on Hulu or one of those channels because, bitch, trust and believe, I definitely want to check this out. I've always been a historian in regards of like queer music and the history of that. And I have to say, like what I was saying before, as someone who has studied and trained in music and classical music and things of that nature, one of the things that I've always been inspired by British music. So I think I was like, yeah, me and Adam has that in common. Where it was just like when I was a kid, I loved people like, I said, like, I'm not really an Elton John fan. I like the whole aesthetic of him with the extravagant costumes and he played the piano. That's the thing that we have in common. So I like Elton for that, but I was not really a big Elton fan. But I was more or less a fan of, I did love me some Freddie Mercury because that's what I grew up listening to and his music was everywhere. Even the heterosexuals like, David, I mean, like Freddie Mercury, because his music was universal. And plus, he wasn't out of the closet like a lot of them were. But I love me some Boy George. I love me some Andy Bell. I love all the people that I had mentioned earlier, and they are deep influences. So it's good to see like, okay, kids need to learn about these artists and where we started out, plus where we are today, and who are the new generation of queer male artists that we could look up to. I'm thinking we got Troye Sivan, we have Little Nas X, we have MNEK, we have who else? Ali Alexander. I'm sure there's a whole bunch more, but those are the only ones I can think of the top of my head. And I knew there were like a couple of underground artists that I, you know, was aware of, like Kevin Aviance, Sir Ari Gold, may he rest in peace. My friend Sir Paul was doing music at one point. I don't know what happened to him. We have Bright Light, Bright Light. We have so many other artists that, you know, are out here. Caswell. We have so many people who's in New York this week, by the way. We have so many people who have, you know, who are out here doing it and been a pivotal point in the career. And yeah, some of those artists I mentioned aren't as big as the ones that we mentioned before, but it's good to see that, you know what, the music industry has changed and they have become slowly but surely more open-minded in inviting openly queer artists to express who they are. So I say all that to say, are you guys excited to see this documentary? And yes, I need for them to also air this in America because I want to see it. And look, there are people out here who are just big fans as those artists, as those who watch stuff on ITV. Maybe it'll end up on Hulu or something or another because I know they have the I Kiss a Boy show that I did see when I was looking on Hulu yesterday. That whole season of I Kiss a Boy is already up on there, and I need to check that out. So hopefully it ends up on there. It ends up on one of the streaming services because I definitely want to check that out. But I definitely want to hear your opinions. Who were your favorite queer artists and things of that nature growing up? And are you excited for Adam Lambert's new EP when it drops this weekend or this Friday? Leave your comments down below.